let's take a look at our new We So Love project for Grace Klein Community. They are wanting to have some t-shirt upcycled bags that are approximately the size of a Ziploc gallon bag. So, you know, we're just looking at volume. The proportion or the exact measurements aren't critical. So you'll see, like on this one, it's a little bit narrower, but it is taller. So we just compensated. So anyway, the bag is real simple. It's just sewn down the side and across the bottom. And the top is actually the t-shirt's original hem. And we simply took our scissor and snipped it in 8 places along the top, so that when we inserted a little t-shirt cord, we've got a great handle. Okay, so very, very simple. And this is the kind of project that actually any kids youth group could help with, a homeschool group, or just a family project. The sewing can be hand done. You know, they could just hand stitch. In fact, they could hand stitch on the outside, much like we machine stitched on the outside here. That could easily just be a nice running stitch with some yarn or crochet thread, something like that, that's sturdy. And also, of course, you could stitch it on a regular sewing machine. I don't happen to have a sample of regular sewing machine. We did the serger, but there's no reason a regular machine can't work. And I would just simply do a regular straight stitch with a good thread down the side. Give yourself a 1-inch seam allowance for a regular sewing machine. That just gives you some strength. All right, so those are the basic anatomy of this bag. We made the cord by cutting 1-inch strips off of a t-shirt, and each cord is 18 inches long before we stretch it. So it looks like this. And once we stretch it, it gets a good bit longer. As you can see, I'll fold it in half and I'll move this out of the way. You'll see. They stretch pretty good. And I think this one actually was even a 100% cotton shirt, so still had good stretch. And anyway, so let's just kind of walk through the steps a little bit. You're going to start with a t-shirt, and the one I just happened to grab first was one that came from someone who makes memory quilts. So it has this chunk missing from the front, and then they gave us the rest of the shirt. So all you need to do is take that shirt, and if you're working with a regular scissors, you know, not a ruler or not a cutting system like you see underneath my video here, all you really need to do is measure. We're going to measure across, and if I was going to get 2 out of here, that means each one would be 11 inches wide by the time, well, might actually even be more like 10 or 10 and a half by the time it's sewn. So that means I'm going to make it just a little bit taller. A Ziploc bag that I used was measuring 12 by 12. So in this case, since I'm going to end up 10 inches, I'm just going to go ahead and make it taller. And instead of 12, why don't I go right here? I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is the place where some fabric is missing. So this, if you've got a good pair of paper scissors, this is easy enough to do. Just cut straight across. And then the rest of that shirt you can give to We So Love, and we will recycle the rest of it. There's still really good parts left behind, believe it or not. All right, and then you're going to go ahead and turn it and cut on the fold there. Yep. In my case, I've got 2 side seams. This doesn't happen always on a t-shirt, but since I have those 2 side seams, why mess them up? I'll just go ahead and refold it and cut over here. And you know, if you fold it in half, then you know you're cutting it in half. You don't really have to be measuring and doing all that. All right. All right, so now this is the hem. So this is going to be the top of the bag. What happens next is it needs to be stitched down this side, turn, and across the bottom. So you do want to secure it when you get to the end over here. Again, I really think this would make a great hand sewing project for someone who's younger and wants to get started learning. Now I noticed, I'm going to show you this, I'm going to separate it. There's a flaw on this one, and that's probably from where it got cut to make the quilt. So I'm going to use my handy dandy rotary cutter real quick just to remove the flaw so it's not part of our finished project. And those of you who have a rotary system, by all means use them. You'll be able to cut up quite a few of these in real short order. And by the way, if you only want to volunteer for that task, we would love to have you on board, and we'll get you bags full of t-shirt pieces, and then you just call and let us know when you have them all cut and ready for the next person. All right, so now let's look at the after the sewing, because those of you who are sewists really understand that step. And by the way, we really covet your help and appreciate all the work you have done for us. If you have any friends who would love to have something to do during this little bit of a pandemic, feel free, call them, get them connected to us. We would love to have them. All right, so let's just say now that we have got our bag stitched up. And, you know, depending on the shirt, you might want to leave the stitching on the outside. So this shirt, for example, has some paint stains on it and things, but they don't show on the outside, or, you know, what would have been the inside. So we're just going to make this one inside out, and that's fine. All right, so once the sewing is done and the ends are secured, so anybody's serging, you do need to tie those ends. And on this one, we thought we were going to go a different direction, so we serged off, but we would just ask you to serge all the way up and then tie that knot. Okay, so the next step is to cut some slits, and how I did it was I laid it flat, and I found the opposite side, and let's see, fold, one little fold to there, and another little fold to there, and you're going to drop that one. Okay, so essentially I want 2 slits on either side of the center of the bag over there, and I don't need them that far apart. It's not scientific, you really can do it however you want it. If you get them too far apart, it just makes the bag a little strange when you lift on it. So now, I don't know if you can see, but I'm just going to make a very small cut. Like that. All right? Then you would do the same thing, find the center on each side, and actually it's a little easier here because if I grab this one and drop the other, and then just fold that back and fold that back, I'm ready to make my slit. And you can see I already did do the slit before the video. There's one and there's one. Okay, so you're going to end up with 8 slits, 4 pairs of slits, 2 on each end, so that's 4, and 2 on each center side, so that's another 4. Okay. So again, this is a task for someone who has a pair of scissors. I will recommend at least a sharp pair of paper scissors. Really, you don't have to have a good sewing scissor for this particular job. All right, so once that person is done with their job, you're going to want to have some kind of a pulling tool, because we're going to take that t-shirt cord, stretch it out good. And I did find that it was helpful to take the end and cut at a diagonal not all the way to that corner, off just a little bit like that, so that I've got this corner. Now, I do really like this. This is a yarn needle. They're plastic. They sell them at Hobby Lobby. Probably Target, Walmart might even have them. Joann Fabrics has them. All right, get that in there. And this is a fantastic task for your littles. 5-year-olds would love this weaving job. And I think 5-year-olds really love to serve. So, you know, what a great opportunity to give them that chance to be a part of something really cool. These bags will be filled with treats and things that might bless first responders. So depending on what comes into House on the Hill as to what goes in these little bags. But I think there's about 65 locations where Grace Klein serves and takes these. So let's see what we can do to help them out. Now, you can either pull them together like that and just tie a simple end of the string knot, or if you wanted to, you could try a little square knot at the end there. That would be fine too. So now let's just see how that works. All right, here's my bag. And there's our cord. And then we'll fill that bag, of course, with all kinds of goodies. Wonderful, okay? So now, once that bag is made, you can see on this one, I just modeled it a little bit with some bleach spray, and then I painted Be Kind on here, and that came from this cute little set I found at the dollar store, $1 for this, Dollar Tree. You know, I simply laid it on there and traced around it. Now to get the heart shape, one of our talented volunteers took a little foam plate and just cut it out for me so I could trace around it. We like hearts, for we so love. Now, we did come up with some other ideas on how you could embellish these bags, so let me just share some of them. I'll put away my other pulling tools. You know, these are all options. They all work great. All right, for embellishing, here's one that, and of course we really like this on here, Love Does, because that is the hashtag that Grace Klein uses when they post pictures of their Love Does drop-offs and the happy faces and whatnot. So that one was made with this little pen called a metallic marker. Crafter Square. So they come in a package like this at the Dollar Tree, so therefore it is $1. It worked great. You know, I had to go slow because the t-shirt likes to move with your marker, but really if you've got teenagers, obviously adults as well, who like to do lettering on our creative, this is their project. This would be fantastic. Once we've got the bags back from the team where they're sewing them and weaving them, you know, or the other family members, then they could go to the family member or team who really would do well and enjoy putting these love messages on there. So that is the version with that marker. Then one of our volunteers mentioned that their Girl Scouts had done this when her daughter was young. So I gave it a try. I took a something about like this. All right, you could use this. You could use the tip of a paintbrush. My first one was this little gadget I found in my junk drawer in the kitchen. I absolutely have no idea what it's for, but it worked great. It was a little long for the job, but it worked great. Now I think this would be nice just because it's not such a long implement. I did also try doing the bleach with a brush like that, and it did okay. It was a little harder to control. You can see that was on the O, E, and S, so wherever I put my brush down, it tended to release too much bleach and made a blob, but it's still actually very, very cute. Now over here, I'm going to try this some more. I took my little heart template and I took a foam brush and I got it wet in my bleach, and then I just dabbed it in lines across and made a little hashtag. Obviously I had too much bleach on my foam brush for the first section, but you know, it's all a learning process. So you can, you know, we can use the pen. We can do bleach, and I did try a diluted bleach mixture, which did not work. You really need full strength bleach, so I really don't recommend this for the little people. But teenagers should be trustworthy. Maybe have them in a space where any bleach spills won't be on something important or bleachable. So, you know, a countertop or a covered area would be good, and make sure they're wearing clothing that you don't mind tossing later if you have to. So I'll just put this here. That represents our bleaching experiment. Then I thought, well, why not just be simple? I took a, this is a fine point, so not the ultra fine, just your fine point chisel tip. And simply hashtag love does written like that. I think it worked great. Obviously, that's not going to be a good solution on dark colors, but certainly, you know, we already have two great solutions for the darks, so we're good there. And then here was just, I just had to have a little bit more fun. I did Love Does, and then I took my heart. This is bleach on black, so it doesn't turn white, it turns sort of an orangey red. And then I traced around this with the paintbrush, and just did little polka dots in it. So just have, you know, you can have fun. These bags can really be a fun project, and at the same time be an incredible blessing to others. I think you could also consider fabric paint. You know, some of those paints come in a thing about like this big that you can squeeze, you cut the tip off, and you know, you can write with them. I believe, I don't know, I haven't tried, there's so many mediums that you could try. I know there are actual fabric paints, Luminaire. Someone told me about this week, which would be, you know, a fun project as well. You know, it just to me lends itself well to an art exploration opportunity for families, for homeschoolers, for just crafty people. So anyone interested in helping on this project, we would love to have you join us. Find us on the Grace Klein website. There's a volunteer link. You sign up on there and just tell them you're wanting to work on the Love Does t-shirt bags, and we will get to you. Trust me, we are excited for this project. Thank you.